Yo, welcome back to an episode of Vass React. We got another video by No Operator. Now, the last time I watched No Operator was literally like, 6 months ago? Because he was dissecting the, because Darren Z made this photo a long time ago. It was our favorite cartoons that we grew up with, but in different anime villain forms or whatnot. So this one is How Strong is the 12 PBS moons. Now, I'm not familiar with the 12 moons at all. They sound like some Demon Slayer type villain. Yeah, by the hashtag is Demon Slayer. I haven't seen Demon Slayer, so I can't make a correlation to who will be who. Well, I haven't finished it. I'm not going to say I haven't seen it. I just haven't finished it. So I'm going to let No Operator do the talking. Now, we've seen the Cartoon Network one. Cartoon Network Akatsuki. We've seen the Nickelodeon, the Nicktoons Espadas. And we've seen the version of the 7 Deadly Sins, Nick Jr. So now he got the 12 moons when cooking. I've been waiting for this shit since last year. Literally December. So, because he said he was going to pick back up. And I'm picking back up to watching it. So we going to chime on in with this, and we going to tap right in. Grab your popcorn, sit and relax, because we're checking this out. And if you know about Demon Slayer, leave it in the comments, because I don't know shit. I'm going to just have to watch it when I get a chance.
Legendary artist.
Well, pick it back up.
Darren Z has created some of the most amazing artwork.
Okay,
of your favorite
and we've seen this one too. This was the Phantom Troop version, the Phantom Troop Boomerang.
Childhood cartoons.
Yeah, so we've seen that one.
Them into some of the most feared.
I don't think we've seen that one. I think you do that one yet.
All time. We've
seen this
down
one
and dissected each one of these criminal groups in order to figure out which one of them would actually be the strongest. And in this video, we finally reached the last organization of the cartoon villain roster, the 12 PBS Moons, requested by popular.
Now, wait, hold on. I'm gonna rewind this just a little bit. You have Bob with a fucking Omnitrix, Millennium Puzzle, Gut Sword, and a Pokeball on his side. You have Barney. You have Naughty. You have Arthur. You have Clifford. You have Cat in the Hat. The Teletubbies just look plain old fucking creepy. Elmo, Puka, and Curious George. And Caillou. And Buster. Why is Buster here if Arthur right there?
By popular demand, are here to join the Battle Royale. And they come featuring some of the most recognizable and nostalgic cartoons, one might say, of all time. And, Zoro from One Piece, as always.
Oh yeah, he is in there. He's staying there.
Direct opponents being the Nick Jr. Homunculi, will they be able
to
stand up to the 7 deadly sins? Let's smash that like button and find out.
Alright, we winning. We in it.
Understand what kind of changes all of the PBS moons would be undergoing just from the sheer fact that all of them are demons now, let alone the 12 most powerful demons in the entire Demon Slayer series. By nature of being converted into a demon, a nocturnal vampiric-like entity that gains unlimited stamina and superhuman strength from ingesting the blood of Patient Zero, Muzan Kibutsuji, and
Michael Jackson
enough will to survive its parasitic effects. Once becoming a demon, all members of the PBS moons will essentially be immortal, immune to all disease, injuries, and even aging. If a demon is harmed, even to the point of losing their limbs or head, they will quickly regenerate. The speed at which this occurs can range from momentarily to instantaneously. Because they can just grow continuously without limit, there does exist a vast disparity between demons concerning power. A large strength gap even separating the 12 moons themselves into 2 distinct halves. For the purposes of this video, I will also be splitting the PBS moons between lower and upper ranks.
Okay.
And yes, that does mean you too, Zoro. However, for some of the lower moons from PBS, these special demon abilities might literally be all these characters have to rely on. For example, the representatives for lower rank 6, Arthur and Buster. 2 cartoon characters with not a single feat between them besides...
See, I don't know enough about Demon Slayer, so I don't know much about, the rankings of the 12 moon demons. But Arthur and Buster, yeah, they, compared to everybody else, yeah, they don't really have nothing to show up for, but yeah.
making a fist really tightly, and being somewhat skeptical of things you see on the internet. You can watch
That's true.
all 25 seasons of Arthur. I promise you, you will not find a single fucking feat that can be used in an anime battle. No scene
That's
of
fucked
Arthur
up.
blinking behind another character to attack their blind side. No mention of how powerful a
I mean, he did punch DW, if that counts.
punch from Buster might be in reference to universal relativity. Just some wholesome kids show about teaching a kid's lesson. Shameful. Lower moons like Arthur
That's
and
fucked
Buster
up.
are going to specifically rely on their special demon physiques to fight in anime battles, which unfortunately, in no regards to fairness, does make the two of them basically impervious to all damage that isn't from a Nichiren blade, and if not, they can just regenerate. Unless the two of them are fighting outside, Arthur and Buster can just realistically battle forever through attrition without an end in sight, really as long as no sunlight gets involved. And on top of this, a lot of the more established demons, especially the 12 demon moons, have unlocked special powers known as blood demon
that looked
arts
good.
can
That
help
animation looked
increase
good.
these creatures' strengths. And while there isn't really enough information
Is
for
that
me
a
to try and
snowflake?
give a blood demon art to the lower 6 duo, I can spare everyone the annoyance of having
Wait, so Naughty is stronger than... Wow.
13 demons in a 12-person organization by making them share a rank. As even lower 5 and lower 4 moons, Naughty and Toyland and Bob the Builder, don't really have that many scenes either that can translate into anime fight stats.
What?
However, significantly more to go off of than the previous two. Lower 5, Naughty and Toyland, is a self-declared detective
Ew, that's the new make way for Naughty? Ew. That looks horrible.
who's constantly responsible for
Ew.
solving mysteries and helping his neighborhood stay safe from supernatural threats like goblins or invisible monsters. Despite being just
Yeah, that's
a
the one I
wooden
grew up
toy,
with.
Naughty is one of the most intelligent members of his community and uses his wit and quick thinking to get his friends out of trouble and not get hurt when evil toys attack the town. Naughty is also versatile enough to drive all types of vehicles, land, air, or sea. While
Yup.
being made of wood is probably a significant downside for an otherwise immortal demon, fire probably becoming a huge disadvantage for Naughty, the blood demon art that Naughty and Toyland would develop could be quite a powerful manipulation technique to control wood itself, bestowing lower rank 5 with the power to control all toys in a given area,
Oh my goodness.
as well as convert all of their victims into wooden voodoo dolls of their former selves, eventually gaining an army of wooden mannequins to attack with,
me.
depending on how many people Naughty can trick into getting hit by him. And in the case of Bob the Builder,
Now, this man has a sword, a Omnitrix, a Millennium Puzzle, a Batarang, and a Pokeball. And he's a lower level? That's crazy.
our lower moon 4, I think his blood demon art could be something similar, but
Right, his
go
tools.
even further to become the manipulation of any and all power tools or objects that conduct electricity. Almost like a control freak from Teen Titans or an upgrade from Ben 10, by not necessarily controlling electricity, but sending his essence through the power lines, Bob the Builder could essentially possess dangerous objects in a factory or a city-like setting and completely take over, which just fits in line with the whole idea that Bob has all of these anthropomorphic vehicles that aid him in his construction work. And we can even add the whole builder thing into making all of these objects be able to create one giant mechanical monster. Its size and weaponry just depending on how many tools and what type of objects Bob can get a hold of. Ironically though, in the
That's fucking disgusting. New Bob makes me uncomfortable. Yes. He has limbs and ligaments. Oh my goodness, he has a shape up and pupils. Ew, I feel disgusted. I'm tainted. I'm taking a shower after this video.
actual cartoon, Bob is pretty
Ew.
bad with computers
That's
and
cool.
always misses important
Ew.
calls because he forgets to turn his cell phone on. Despite having a strong ability, he lacks the technical know-how to use it to its fullest potential, and instead decides to rely on older, less accessible power tools and weaponry instead of more advanced tactics like maybe hacking into a computer network and stealing the nuclear missile codes or something. The boomer in Bob is his worst enemy, and I think that's poetic writing, honestly. What I will say is that as we get closer to the upper moons, the potential for these demons to just become pure eldritch abominations is genuinely obscenely high. Imagine what lower moon 3 Clifford the Big Red Dog would look like as a creature of the night. Even in his own cartoon, Clifford is like 25 feet tall
Yeah.
in a normal position.
The live action movie didn't do him no justice. I'm just gonna say that now. The live action movie was horrible. As a Clifford fan, I don't like how she had to make a wish and Clifford just grew. It was never like that. The motherfucker just had an enormous growth spurt in the cartoon.
But the dog could probably tower over large buildings just by going up on its hind legs.
Yeah.
With the demon's already enhanced extrasensory, the distance and range would only be substantially expanded for a demon that's base species is a dog, meaning despite his large size, Clifford's reflexes, agility, sight, smell, everything might be able to perceive and react to attacks or threats even faster than demons that rank higher than Clifford. The big red dog stats getting boosted significantly by Muzan's demon blood, Clifford could just bring down entire city blocks from howling. If Clifford is tipping over houses accidentally just from leaning on them, or causing entire earthquakes just from howling to the moon, I don't even think a blood demon art would be necessary to see why Clifford outranks the previous moons.
It's
But
all physical
the good
feats.
boy loves to dig ginormous holes, maybe some kind of ground traversal technique where he can just tunnel through the ground to compensate for his large shape, making it easier to get around without being noticed. Also, if you didn't notice in the original picture, Curious George just has Sun Wukong's golden headband and his magical staff Rui Jingu Bang. So, yeah, the Monkey King has pushed himself all the way to lower rank 2 just from that power-up alone. Lower Moon 2 should just be able to run circles around.
But you gotta realize though, his feet, he's always curious. If he get the curiosity to learn how to whip your ass, you're fucked.
All of the previous moons, just based off combat potential and flexibility alone. And just to make it even more concrete, let's give George the blood demon art of being able to clone himself like Wukong. The golden headband replica would be the determining factor, so that way you could tell the real George from the clones. The reason martial arts supremacy does not award Curious George a higher spot on the totem pole is due to the reality bending power born from some of the more chaotic members of the demon moons.
Cat in the Hat.
The lower ranks leader, Cat in the Hat, is ironically just a small taste of the mind-bending horrors that await later down the line in the upper rank.
Probably, arguably, one of the greatest live-action adaptations. Even though this movie was like hella wonky as hell, this was a great live-action adaptation.
That isn't said to disparage the Lower Moon one in any way, as the cat is honestly probably one of the perfect replacements for Enmu, the original Lower one, that we could have ever asked for. While the Cat in the Hat does not necessarily put people to sleep and trap them in everlasting dreams, the cat is
that look
able to
beautiful. Okay,
affect the enemy's
I probably gotta
reality
watch
to some degree over the range of a small location. The cat can manufacture zany inventions or creations that are able to defy physics, such as a box that acted as a portal to a separate dimension that can either be used as a bottomless storage for gadgets and gizmos, or opening a portal to the cat's world that pours into reality and can potentially take it over entirely. He has been shown to alter his surroundings just by performing musical numbers or television skits, and can even open up doors and windows where they never existed that all lead to completely different locations than they probably should. Because it seems the Cat in the Hat's control over reality is limited to a small vicinity that he's currently existing.
We need a Cat in the Hat too. That's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Would probably be like the best environment for a demon like Cat in the Hat to maintain
who the fuck is that?
dominance over his victims' torture and anguish. While the cat isn't protected by outright Toon Force, it has shown insane durability feats like surviving catastrophic car crashes and even hiding in plain sight or behind objects that he normally shouldn't fit behind. By taking advantage of a demon's immortality and lust for blood, the cat could travel the world, tricking local fools to ride his infinity train, using his surreal supernatural abilities to make passengers hallucinate evil visions, or summon his aides, Thing 1 and Thing 2, to personally see to the victim's trauma. Maybe he could just be an Enmu clone. When it comes to the original 12 Demon Moons, one thing that separates the upper ranks from the lower is the fact that over the course of 100 years, while the lower moons have constantly been replaced due to dying at the hands of the Demon Slayers, not once in that entire century has an upper moon demon ever lost a battle. Not even to a Hashira, the peak of the demons.
Okay, I know who those two are. I know that's Daki, and that's the guy who killed Rengoku. I've been seeing him around because I know he the one that gave the nickname where they started calling Rengoku Donut Man.
Slayer core. The reason for this is not just their overwhelming strength and access.
I think his name begins with an A. I'm not sure. I don't know what it is. I just know it begins with an A, and I know he gave Rengoku a donut
as long and as fulfilled as them. All of the demons from this point on will be on an entirely different level than all of the lower moons that we have previously discussed. And the reason why I'm stressing that fact is due to how similar lower.
Okay, he has Caillou, Puka, Barney. Is he covering all the Teletubbies or just one? And Elmo left.
Moon 1 and Upper Moon 6 may come across. Upper Moon 6, Pocoyo.
I kept saying Puka.
Whose powers rely heavily on the control they have over
great cartoon,
the universe and reality. However, unlike the Cat in the Hat, the sheer amount of dominance Pocoyo seems to have over the world is leagues apart from a novice like the cat. Born in a 3D void that this child claims to be a world, despite being just the small age of 4, Pocoyo is an extremely intelligent and worldly boy, capable of creating complicated inventions or coming up with plans and ideas well beyond his years, which honestly is way easier to explain as a demon that's lived for countless centuries as opposed to just a toddler that's pretty bright. Unlike the Cat in the Hat, Pocoyo seems to be capable of affecting the world around him on a much grander scale. Not only are his engineering creations much more suited for battle, such as machines that merge objects together to make stronger objects, or a remote that can make things invisible, and there are also multiple episodes where Pocoyo and his friends can change their shape and size for activities, like becoming full-on kaiju size and fighting each other with supernatural powers. So he's much more likely to just create wacky scenarios for the fun of it, rather than just outright warp physics or logic to his will. So even if Pocoyo was to become more evil, bloodlusted, and demonic, it's more likely that Pocoyo would just be a stronger, more realized version of the Cat in the Hat. But where Pocoyo gains even more of an advantage is the help he receives from all of his friends and animal creations. They would surely be willing to always fight alongside him, even in demon form. So I think as a blood demon art, it makes sense that Pocoyo would be able to conjure or summon his friends into reality. But also, like most children's shows, Pocoyo seems to receive divine guidance and instruction from the narrator and audience that watch him. So the second half of that blood demon art could essentially gift the Upper Moon demon with precognition, additional advice from outside parties on how to solve problems or overcome obstacles, making Pocoyo legitimately the "my friends are my power" demon. But I mean, hey, it might work. But that's where Upper Moon 5 steps in to show Pocoyo what's up.
And who is that?
Is Elmo. The thing that separates Elmo from the other reality.
See, like I said, I don't know much about Demon Slayer, but if he's strong, he's strong. Elmo literally can make his own reality. Elmo, domain expansion, Elmo's world. Shit.
Benders is the fact that unlike the demons that can manipulate the outside world, Elmo can control everything as long as it's in Elmo's world. Elmo's blood
That's his domain expansion.
Will involve trapping an opponent or victim into his own dimension.
That's a real ass dog.
Has complete authority over everything within his realm. Now, outside of Elmo's world,
the
Elmo's
old version
should still be able to bring any creations he draws into reality, be they weapons, lesser demons, elemental attacks, whatever. So the Upper Moon demon can still be somewhat capable of physical combat outside of his dimension, but it's obvious that Elmo will achieve.
Bro, I used to watch this shit every fucking morning. Like, every morning.
Achieve the pinnacle of
this
his
shit was so goated.
Inside the world that he has absolute control over. A victim trapped in Elmo's world can be sitting in lava, to suddenly being in a snowstorm on top of a mountain, or in the depths of the ocean underwater, and then to the vacuum of space, all in succession, or, despite being hard to probably visualize, all at once. By shifting
so pretty much Grimmy from Bleach.
In the course of his world,
that's what it sounds like.
Elmo can warp himself or even the world as he pleases, meaning Elmo just has full time and control to make their opponent agonize as long as possible, or if Elmo is really pissed, he can just end it in seconds. The reason Elmo can get away with something like this is because it's impossible to kill Elmo inside of
They made him look so
Elmo's
evil.
world is essentially Elmo's essence as a whole, his spirit.
That's
so
look
even
terrifying.
if Elmo is killed with a Nichiren blade outside of Elmo's world, the puppet can just revive inside of Elmo's world and reemerge into reality as a new being entirely.
So you will have to destroy Elmo's world to get rid of Elmo.
entirely. Don't count how many times I said Elmo, but an easy
I
way to
did.
think of this would be Schrodinger from Hellsing Ultimate. Elmo both is and is not at the same time. Everywhere all at once, but yet nowhere all at the same time. Now, with all of that being said, after the first two Upper Moons just ended up being outright reality,
Okay, who next?
that border on the line of the metaphysical, ironically enough, the next two Upper Moons are probably just going to be some of the most basic entries on the entire roster since Arthur and Buster. Because I don't think Upper Moon 4, Rorono Zoro, really needs any extra...
Are we really counting Zoro? Like, it's Zoro. Are we really counting this, man?
power or introduction. The man's got enough raw base power alone to fight off demons like Pocoyo and Elmo, so give Zoro unlimited stamina and a potential blood demon art. Even if he can't kill Pocoyo or Elmo, I think he's capable of outright breaking their hacks with aura alone. Give Demon Zoro something like Yami Tsukihiro from Black Clover's Dark Cloak Dimension Slash, a magical attack cloaked in darkness.
We really diving into Zoro. I get fuck
space
it.
open and tear through
You
entire
really diving
dimensions,
deep into
and
Zoro.
Elmo's world would never be a problem. And speaking of aura merchants, the follow-up to Zoro and holder of Upper Moon Rank 3 could not be more obvious. It's Caillou. I'm replacing Kaza with Caillou. He's the new Upper Moon 3. I thought it would just be super boring to have another member of the PBS Moons be a nothing burger like Arthur and Buster. So Darren did me enough of a favor to draw Caillou with One Punch Man's outfit. So I'm just gonna lie and tell you that this is Saitama that after becoming a demon changed his shape to that of a child as to restrict his power level from growing any higher than it already was.
I love the lore. I love the lore.
Down to a youthful 5 years old, Saitama was able to keep himself at the exact same stats and strength he was at in his own canon series. Only this time, One Punch Man is capable of busting galaxies with unlimited demon stamina and is resistant to any and all injuries that don't come from a Nichiren blade. As if One Punch Man wasn't hard enough to kill, somehow the PBS Moons were not able to acquire one but two demons that are surpassing One Punch Man in power. The first of which of those demons is going to be Upper Moon 2, Barney the Purple Dinosaur. As a 2-year-old dinosaur,
My goat.
which is 200 million years old.
He's two. Oh, I'm ready to
Barney
say.
is essentially a wise sage-like character that has traveled all across the world and lived through countless eras and societies. With Muzan's blood now coursing through his veins, Barney's imagination is now allowed to come to life through the large array of sparkles the dinosaur can conjure into reality. Barney has been shown capable of outright changing the world around
Now,
him, but nothing like any of the
Bonnie fucking know he ain't eat that sandwich. Cause that bite would have been fucking bigger than that.
previous demons. Barney
I'm gonna stop pausing it, but y'all remember when Dash used to have beef with Barney?
can just legitimately make toy rockets into real ones that can just take off and launch into outer space at the snap of a finger.
He has no
Going a step
protective gear.
further than simple size changing, Barney can
Excuse me.
transmutate human children into mechanical robots, or just forcefully move the sun and moon in their cycle to fast forward the planet's day and night. All of this possible thanks to Barney's sparkles and his wise mind. Because with 200 million years of life experience, abstract thinking is not out of the question. And considering all the previous feats were done by Barney the pacifist, let's take a second to imagine what horror a demonic and bloodlusted purple dinosaur could think of to best devour or kill their prey. If base Barney can unleash the full limits of their magic and cause actual earthquakes, and even control the weather through magical jars that carry all of the power of the 4 seasons, I have to imagine it would be
That looks
terrifying.
so
Barney
creepy.
also has things like the Barney bag that hold bottomless pocket dimensions of storage for
The
any
Barney
items or
bag.
objects that he wishes for, or can act as a permanent death trap for unsuspecting victims to get pulled into. And despite all of this just being his imagination, Barney has literally created actual life.
I remember that episode. I remember that.
Or even manipulated time itself. Barney was even able to make a baby egg hatch just from speeding up the aging process.
Okay, I remember that
All the
episode.
blood demon art to literally conjure any idea that pops up into your brain is rightfully overpowered for an Upper Moon 2-like demon. At the end of the day, Barney himself is just a small pink dinosaur doll. Sure, Barney can return to this form at will to regenerate, sleep, or rest, even use it stealthily to hide in plain sight and seem seem like just a non-important toy, Barney is at his most vulnerable if attacked in this state. So while he's not indomitable, Barney is still a big problem. And even though Upper Moon 2 required all of that and in-depth explanation to justify why they were strong.
So our last one is the Teletubbies.
Stronger than the other demons, Upper Moon 1 is gonna be a lot more cut and dry. The strongest demon of the PBS moons would obviously be the configuration of all 4 Teletubbies.
Yeah.
Or should I say, the Vassal of the End, a mere avatar of the Lovecraftian outer gods that embody all forbidden knowledge and madness that exists in this universe. Now, if you aren't familiar with the eldritch, horrific origins of the Teletubbies, I'm sorry to shatter the illusion of some kids show for you here, but these fucking demons are actually alien demigods from another dimension that have simply crash landed here and have chosen to nest on this planet that we call Earth.
The
to them,
fuck?
though, it's a lot more closer to like that of a stepping stone, like realistically a pebble or a rock that they might kick on their way down, you know, a street road, or an ant you might accidentally step on and not even realize you killed. They only merely happen to lie dormant on this planet by chance, and the inevitability of the destruction of this planet when they awake is undoubted. Like they didn't even know our planet was there. The form we see before us in this image wouldn't even be their true shape. It would merely just be a presence they have chosen to take so that our simple minds might comprehend their appearance without breaking from their incomprehensible forms. The televisions you see on their stomachs are merely portals to other dimensions, depicting horrific massacres or torture scenes that have either happened already or yet to happen at all. Taking pure amusement in the idea that question even existing in your brain might potentially put you at unease.
What
they move
the
to
hell?
the beat of their magical drum, and through its rhythm, the planet's axis shifts. The clouds stir and slide across the sky according to the god's will, at any point having the power to steer this planet's gravitational pull into the sun. But because we are so small in reference, the act of destroying our planet in such a manner would be the same as some child knocking down an anthill, done out of pure boredom.
Ant Bully. I love that movie.
Memorable value or instinct. Is that an unrealistic amount of glaze for the fucking Teletubbies? We
No, it's a reasonable amount. It's a reasonable amount of glaze.
could have ended up with half a roster of Arthur and Busters. Just remember that when you think I was a little ridiculous in this one. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video and showing me some unreal amount of support on this series as a whole. Make sure to check out some of the other videos if you haven't already. Go support Darren Z. My man's got a Patreon, he's got social media, and I've already bought a couple of prints to make up for some of these videos, basically using his work as the foundation. Thank you, Darren. Thank you guys again for watching. Peace.
Okay, that was like a beautiful explanation, and I will be supporting Darren Z as well. Like I said, he drew some of the hardest stuff, and I know Cartoon Network gives him a shout out as well, you know, showing his fan art as well. This was a great explanation. Now I have to force myself to watch Demon Slayer fully now. But if this is the last video of this series, then I'm a little upset because this was great. This was literally great. And he drafted his own, too. His own Cartoon Network Koski. So I don't want this video to be longer than 30 minutes, which probably is already. Anyway, but go check out Darren Z artwork. Love his artwork as well. I'm going to have to buy full prints of this if he's selling them. So Darren Z, if you ever see this video, I support you. I'm definitely support you. No operator. If you ever see this video, which I know you're not going to probably watch it for the whole damn 20, 25 minutes, I support you. I love this. This was great. Anyway, this is Vass Reacts. Like, comment, subscribe. Shout out to No Operator, shout out to Darren Z, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.